What would you do if someone gave you a credit card with no limits and told you to spend it however you wished? Would you rush to buy the car of your dreams, the house you always imagined, or luxury goods that shine brighter than anything else? Now imagine this scenario: a wealthy man, a millionaire known for his sharp suits, lavish parties, and business empires, handed his personal maid a single credit card and told her she could buy whatever her heart desired. At first, it sounded like a fairy tale, a Cinderella story for modern times. But what she did with that card didn't just shock him, it shattered his heart into pieces. Before we dive into this story that will pull at your emotions and make you rethink the meaning of wealth and generosity, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, Kindness HNB, for more touching stories that remind us of the beauty of humanity. Ethan Wallace was a man people envied. He had everything society defined as success. Cars that roared down highways, a mansion with marble floors and crystal chandeliers, a wardrobe filled with designer brands, and a bank account so large that even a lifetime of spending wouldn't scratch the surface. But with all his success came loneliness. Ethan's parents had passed away early, his siblings were distant, and his friends, well, they were more interested in what they could get from him than who he truly was. The only constant in his home was Maria, his maid, a woman in her late 30s with gentle eyes, calloused hands, and a smile that somehow carried warmth even on the gloomiest days. Maria wasn't just a maid. For years she had been silently watching over Ethan, keeping his home in order, making sure he had meals when he was too busy working, and listening when he needed to vent about business struggles. She never asked for anything in return, other than her small paycheck that barely covered her rent in a modest neighborhood on the edge of the city. Ethan often wondered about her life, but like many wealthy people, he never truly paused long enough to understand the sacrifices of those who worked for him. That was until one particular evening changed everything. Ethan had just returned from a business trip overseas, exhausted, when he found Maria still awake, folding laundry in the corner of his grand living room. She looked tired, her eyes heavy, her back slightly bent. But when he walked in, she smiled like she always did and asked, "Welcome home, sir. Would you like me to make you some tea?" It struck him, how could someone who had so little always be so willing to give? Suddenly, a thought came to Ethan's mind. Maybe he could do something different, something unexpected. He reached into his wallet, pulled out his sleek black credit card, and handed it to Maria. "Maria," he said, "take this card. Tomorrow, I want you to buy anything you want. No limits. Don't think about the price. Just, get what your heart desires." Maria froze. Her eyes widened, her hands trembled, and for the first time in years, she was speechless. "Sir. I can't. This is too much. You've already given me work, and that's more than enough." But Ethan insisted. "No. You've been here for me more than anyone else. Consider this a gift. Tomorrow, use it. And don't worry, I'll know you deserve it." Maria didn't sleep that night. She stared at the card as though it was made of gold. She thought of everything she could buy, clothes, shoes, maybe even jewelry. For a moment, her imagination soared, but then reality returned. She thought of her children back home in her small apartment, her daughter's torn school shoes, her son's asthma medicine, her elderly mother's unpaid hospital bills. She thought of her neighbors who worked 2 jobs but still struggled to put food on the table. And quietly, tears rolled down her cheeks. The next day, Maria took the card and left. Ethan watched from his office window as she disappeared into the busy city streets. He expected her to return with designer shopping bags, maybe even a brand new phone or expensive makeup. Hours passed. The evening arrived. When Maria returned, she was carrying no luxury bags, no fancy gadgets, no signs of self-indulgence. Instead, she had receipts and photographs. She laid them out on the table in front of Ethan, who stared in confusion. "Maria, where are the things you bought for yourself?" Her voice shook as she spoke. I couldn't, sir. I couldn't spend your money on myself when I knew how many others needed it more. So I went to the pharmacy. I cleared the debt of families who couldn't afford medicine. I went to the school store. I bought shoes and supplies for children who came every day without proper notebooks. I stopped at the grocery shop and paid for food for families who had empty kitchens. I even went to the hospital and covered the bills for 2 mothers who had been begging the nurses for help. Every cent of your money went to them, not me. Ethan's heart clenched. He was silent, overwhelmed. All his life, he had thought giving meant buying expensive gifts or throwing charity galas that boosted his public image. But Maria, with nothing of her own, had used his gift to change the lives of strangers. She hadn't thought of herself once. For the first time in years, tears formed in Ethan's eyes. He looked at Maria, and in her humility, he saw something he had lost long ago, pure kindness, the kind that asks for nothing in return. Yet, alongside his admiration, there was a quiet ache, a heartbreak of sorts. Ethan had given her the opportunity to finally think about herself, to indulge, to live like royalty, even for one day. But instead, Maria proved how little she thought of her own needs. The realization hit him hard. She had lived in selflessness for so long that she didn't even remember what it meant to choose herself. As Ethan stared at the pile of receipts and photographs, he realized something profound, that money in itself was meaningless unless it touched lives. But it also hurt him to know that Maria had denied herself the joy she deserved. That night, lying awake in his grand mansion, Ethan knew his life would never be the same again. Maria had unknowingly broken his heart, not because she wasted his gift, but because she revealed how blind he had been to her sacrifices all these years. And this was just the beginning of a story that would forever change the bond between a millionaire and his maid.